very good evening to all of you. Many thanks to EVOLVE Robotics, led by Sajesh and team, and Shruti for their kind invitation. I'm very delighted to be with you all virtually. I understand this is a very wide spectrum of audience, from students to parents across age ranges. So definitely with wide range of interests, ambitions, and goals. I'll try and give you a generic overview of how education has evolved, how it looks like to be, how it looks like now, and what the immediate and distant future of work ties into, how education is shaping up for the future. And hopefully, my intention is that you'll be able to get some takeaway points to at least ponder on for your future or that of your kids' future. So in the first 15 minutes or so, let's say, I'll be sharing my experience, engineering experience, walking you through my professional journey, this transition from being a student to an engineer, researcher, academic, entrepreneur, and engineering educator that I am now. Walk that I had crossing the world of teaching and technology from Kerala to Cambridge to Oxford and now to Dyson, putting into context how my environment, education, and expertise helped me become the international academic that you see now. So as looking back, in retrospective, I can see that I had that interest right from the beginning, though I would see that as a kind of play then. So it was natural to me. I experimented with choosing to write a few competitive exams. I think that's what we all do. Brought up in a very Indian context, it's all about competitive exams, right? So from my state to another, it was a huge step for me. It broadened my exposure, and it was during my second year of master's, during my project work, that I figured I had an aptitude for research. Now, I had no knowledge, absolutely no knowledge of how to do this in the right way. There was no one to guide me or give me this proper direction or navigate right through this process. Now things are a bit more different. You can see a lot of people going outside, pursuing their degrees, and so on and so forth. So as for me, Google was my friend and guide in the whole process. So if people are interested to study abroad, now this is for people who are thinking of doing that. So I would say do a thorough study of the branches or courses in the university you are planning to apply. Look up the application processes. Generally, the application will be very lengthy, unlike Indian ones. These universities look for the students' overall aptitude for research, not the memorizing capability. So you'll have many essays, write it very sincerely, carefully. Be very sure of what is the narrative that you are putting out there, because they are going to check you out or assess you based on that. Now they'll study your application. Now, if it's for Ph.D, if it's in universities like Cambridge and Oxford, especially in the UK, it'll be about 4 to 5 months, depending upon what you are applying for. The best they are, the more competitive they get. So it's generally a year-long process. Now, I think for undergraduates and masters, it's slightly different in terms of the time frame, but the overall structure would be the same. So they evaluate your application and based on your aptitude, your academic merit, your extracurricular activities. So nothing small is insignificant. I just wanted to stress on that. So Cambridge ultimately opened up innovative avenues, wonderful opportunities, and world-class exposure, and amazing networking arena. And having that chance to work with one of the brightest and best brains in the world, ultimately for me, that opened up even more doors to whatever I went on to do later on, which I will reel you in. So again, I am a researcher, or I was at least in a good part of my life. I will not try and go into the details, but I would just like to touch upon what did I do at Cambridge. So we all deal in, right, day in and day out with electrical power. You have your phones, your laptops, the screens that you are staring into now, to all the systems at your homes. Trillions of adjustments are made every second to deliver electricity from your wall outlets to power any of your electrical or electronic device. Now, these are made possible by systems that do this conversion called power electronic converter, conventionally built using silicon. You all must have heard at some point or the other, or at least seen these different chips, right? And so on. So what happens when your laptop or phone is working? Generally, when things start working, you feel heat, right? So on an average, these converters are only 90% energy efficient, and the rest is lost as heat, costing us billions every year. So with increasing power density, and as human beings, we want everything smaller, lighter, denser, faster, and cheaper. And silicon is failing to meet these demands. So my research work aimed to address this problem of electrical power by exploring a better way of converting electrical power using devices made of this novel material called gallium nitride. And essentially, it looked into bridging the gap between the laboratory and commercialization phase using machine learning. So, if that's what a technical brief, so with having had almost a decade of intersectional and multidisciplinary experience in education, entrepreneurship, and research, and like I said, having parallel careers juggling the worlds of academia and industry, with a strong flair for active engineering education, and as a champion and advocate for engineering, Dyson Institute's mission of developing engineering leaders fascinated me during my time at Oxford. I applied, all excited, for a very stable and less messy stage of my life. I thought I figured everything out, and it was during this time that I was finishing up my first year of fellowship and decided to go to India. COVID struck, boom. Again, my plans didn't work out like the millions around the globe, right? We all had an uncertainty inside the uncertainty ruling our life, and it's still going on, at least for a good part of most of people across the globe. Though it is with deep sense of sadness that we can all look at the colossal loss of life and livelihood during this unusually unprecedented times we are currently living in, if I think about this as an engineer, firstly, the immediate effect of this pandemic on the engineering sector was to drive global innovation through collaboration and sharing of knowledge for making ventilators, PPEs, test kits, life-saving medical devices, and medicines. So basically, I would say the world finally woke up to realize the importance of engineering and engineers during this crisis. It was raining innovation, if you look at it, right, left, and center. So I just wanted to bring in that COVID aspect just to put things into perspective, right? We can have the best of education that we have, combined with all the experience and whatnot, but still life will have its own, I wouldn't use it as a surprise, but this is more like a shocker. And this is something, it's just COVID as an example here. You never know what is going to hit you at what point of your life. All I wanted to have was to have that freedom of choice, my voice and space in this world, irrespective of my race, gender, and neurodiversity. Now, if that's the case, what are the skills that we are talking about? This is something fundamentally, especially we Indians, are very well aware of, right? We need the knowledge. Absolutely, no doubting that. Entrepreneurial thinking. Now, it's not based on the fact that everyone should be entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship, it's more like that thinking, right? Where you have the initiative, where you know to take risks and you can pull in resources. Essentially, it all goes back to what I said. When you are put in situations and when your plan doesn't work, do you have what it takes to come up with another plan, to execute your plan B if you already have one, and so on. So that kind of thinking, which essentially allows us to be very independent. Creativity and innovation. Sorry. Yeah, so in essence, if you look at it, you can say that the 21st century learner it's not just about your numeracy and literacy skills. Now, when we are talking about learning, it has moved into critical thinking, creativity, motivation, social responsibility and awareness, communication, digital literacy, collaboration, and leadership in your areas of interest. So these are highly essential to achieve success in our education and to contribute to society. So if that's the case, now we looked at different aspects. We have looked into how education has evolved to what are the different aspects of changing learning scenarios and how institutions are adapting and growing to meet these different kind of needs. So many of these changes underway, I would say, call to mind the evocative words of Irish Point. I would say, Point, education is not about filling a bucket, but lighting a fire, right? So the future of education is therefore, it's like a new vision for learning, right? More important to know when you need something, a knowledge, a skill, and then where to find it. How, rather than cramming your head full or trying to learn everything. It is built around each individual, your personal choice of where and how to learn, and tracking of performance through data-based customization, whatever suits you. So learning together and from each other, peer-to-peer learning will dominate. Teachers become more like mentors and facilitators of communities built around shared learning and aspiration. So as personalized learning and student ownership becomes central to learning, mentoring, like I've touched upon repeatedly, will become more and more important. So these are exciting, provoking, and potentially far-reaching challenges involved as well when we talk about these changing dynamics of education. And so that is where I see initiatives like that of EVOLVE Robotics making an impact. For individuals and society, new educational tools and resources hold the promise of empowering individuals to deliver this full array of competencies, skills, and knowledge, unleashing your creative potential. And these kind of disruptions cannot happen on a scale and length and breadth in countries like India with its millions of numbers of students and schools. So I think this is where you need to think more about as parents. How are you going to ensure that your student, your kids get the necessary skill set and extra help and mentoring that they need to develop to be the citizen or person that they want to. And like I pointed out, at least in my understanding and what interests me about initiatives like EVOLVE Robotics is that it gives students this free-spirited platform that evokes curious learning, whether you have coding or other learning by doing that's happening parallelly. At the end of the day, it is a very bespoke learning platform that you are getting. I'm sure the students will have their own understanding as well as parents about what they want and how these all sits in the grander scheme of things. But at least for me, this neatly fits into this evolving educational landscape, the future. This is the future in a way. So I will, we are bang on time. I will leave you with a note to ponder on, and just want to summarize by saying that, yes, we are not fully prepared for this kind of work scenario of the 21st century, but that doesn't mean that we are left behind, because digital learning has been or are utilized in our educational system more than we can see and know. So curricula, learners and teachers are becoming more flexible. Curricular activities are being adopted. There are initiatives such as what we know of, like the EVOLVE Robotics and hundreds of others in their own different ways and means. So we need educators, schools, initiatives, government officials, and parents to collaborate and start this process of rebooting our education to prepare for the next generation of learners. We're not left behind, but still, it is a must for all of us to step forward to catch up with Education 4.0, which is the future of learning. So, thank you very much for your patient listening, and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you very much. I would once again like to thank the EVOLVE Robotics team for the kind invitation, for the parents, especially for your very patient listening and insightful questions, and to the students for being a wonderful audience and for all this incredibly engaging questions at the end. Thank you very much. I hope you all stay well and safe during these challenging times. Thank you. Education is not about filling a bucket, but lighting a fire.